framework, that we should not increase the number of pupils and then fail to increase the number of teachers. Teachers as well were being recruited in thousands. So, I can inform you now that from 2021 to 2024, we have over 41,000 teachers recruited, which to us is a milestone. In other words, on one side, you are increasing the number of pupils in class. On the other side, you are recruiting in thousands by year. Last year, the projected recruitment was supposed to have been 4,500, somewhere there. But government went beyond the target and recruited over 7,000 teachers. The first time that we did the recruitment, we were over 30,000 teachers. Seconded one, over 4,500 teachers. This year, of course, we look forward to a more recruitment. So, it is a balance. On one hand, big numbers. Then what other things have we done? Because it's a structured program. It's not an impromptu program. It's not just a decree. As we are speaking, my brother, we are basically talking about classroom blocks. Classroom blocks. So as we are speaking now, we have so far an increase of over 859 classroom blocks across the country. Three number, which is basically the number of classrooms. Why is it necessary for this particular issue to be factored in? It is because when you are increasing the number of pupils as a result of free education, it means the demand for more teachers goes up. Then what do? We respond by recruiting in thousands.
On the issue of the quality, what has been a concern from some stakeholders? Here I'll make reference to the Zambia National Education Coalition. Let's just take a listen to what the executive director had to say.
The trend now is that if you meet an old person who did education a long time ago, they are more likely to be literate than the young ones that are currently in school. Meaning that we are actually losing in the sense that the young one now can learn from grade 1 to grade 5 without knowing how to read and write. And it was made actually, when by the introduction of the use of a local language as a medium of instruction. In the category of free education, we have a huge task to ensure that we have interventions that are going to help us promote literacy.
So that's the Zambia National Education Coalition, ZANIC Executive Director George Hamsunga, who also made reference to the statistics from the 2022 Census of Population and Housing, which showed that the literacy rate had dropped from 62.6% to 62.6% from 70.2%, which was recorded from the last census. So they're using those statistics to look at the literacy levels and the drop, which has also been linked to the free education policy.
Now, when you go to UNESCO, you'll be getting something different. What he's talking about there is not a research, it's an opinion. He's saying they are more likely. He's giving an experience, because when you are giving empirical data, you could use some observable phenomenon based on what may have transpired elsewhere. So that's not a research. I've worked with these people before. They will tell you, the leaders that at ZANIC, on a number of projects. So that is not a research. So I was expecting them to tell us a research.
But they made reference to the Census of Population and Housing National.
Yeah, I'm coming. And I'm telling you that according to the UNESCO record, it has been increasing in Zambia. And what has changed now is that if you go backward to where we're coming from, you discover that a person will go up to grade 5, they don't know how to read. Today, because of the introduction of the policy on early childhood education, most of these people can speak English, they're able to read. Okay? That's what it has done. You'll find a lot of literature in the University of Zambia, the special collections section, so many dissertations written to that effect on the impact of early childhood education, how it is impacting on the pupils in their education hierarchy. Because previously, the biggest problem that we used to have is that the teacher will tell you, for example, Chimata, that if you want to go to the toilet, you must say this. People could pee in class because they could not express themselves. Secondly, we are in a situation where they will say, those of you who want to talk, who want to make noise, you must use English. You find people remain quiet up to the time they knock off. But that is not a problem today. So we have moved away, because then you need to redefine the word literacy. You must be very careful, being able to read and write. So is that being educated? There are three philosophical concepts that are used to package the curriculum. I don't want to bore the listeners, but it's important that as an academician to go there so that I explain what I'm trying to justify here. Number one, these three principles are used for developing a curriculum. Okay? Number one, learning to be. Number two, learning to do. That's number one, learning to be, learning to do. And the third one, and most importantly, is learning to know. Learning to be. In other words, when you want to go and study journalism, you want to be a journalist. So the curriculum must be tailored to suit an international definition of a journalist when developing a curriculum. Two, learning to know. You must demonstrate knowledge. And when you are examining and preparing an examination paper, these are the three philosophical concepts to demonstrate. You're asking a question so that the child or pupil demonstrates knowledge of the subject. And then to be when it comes to application. Then finally, to do, there must be a relationship between your knowledge and your skill. Those we say you are schooled, you are not educated, it's because they had the knowledge, they have become journalists, but they are not able to do.
So do we discuss
So find that there is a
statistics from that report?
Now, there is no report there. This is what I'm telling you, that an opinion and the research are two different.
But this was a report that was even graced by the Minister of Finance and National Planning. This was by government.
Listen to this. This is what I'm saying. Later on in the education area, what we use to determine whether pupils are doing fine or not, there are certain yardsticks. Periodic tests, assignments, as well as you have homeworks, and finally an exam. So the variations and the dynamics in terms of pass rate are historic. Sometimes you find this province goes down, the other one goes up. This one province goes down. So we are better off getting, because right now, free education is a new policy. It is too early for anyone today to wake up and tell me something. Because I'll tell you something, that if you want to conduct a thorough research about free education, you must have conducted a research, Simuuwe, of a pupil who started grade 1 under free education and completed grade 4. You don't have any. You must be very careful with the type of research you're coming up with. Free education is 4 years old. If the background of a pupil was poor, before free education came, so there will be certain extenuating factors you need to take note in your research. At what point did this pupil become poor in performance? Is it the preparatory stage in the early childhood education? Is it at primary? Is it at secondary school? There are technicalities. So then you do a comparative analysis, before and after. I'm aware of the report that they published last time. And because part of the consultants I was offering, even to CSOs, is research. For various reasons, I can't disclose CSOs, because they know. Okay? It's research. Now, I want to tell you that people are saying, no, people are too many, so the quality is compromised. They want to give you where they conducted, at the school where they conducted, that the quality has been compromised. They'll not tell me. If pupils have passed, the question is, what is the yardstick for determining quality?
One of the yardsticks people are using is a teacher will not give adequate attention to the pupils in the classroom.
Now, this is what I'm saying. Because we had a program that was properly planned. I don't know where people are missing it. We are addressing the teacher-pupil ratio this way. We planned. We said, on one hand, free education will definitely bring more pupils into school. So what did we do? To respond to your question as before, what did we do? When you increase the number of pupils in the class, construct more classrooms, which we are doing. I'm just giving you statistics. Then after you've constructed more classrooms, start recruiting more teachers so that you maintain level playing field on the teacher-pupil ratio. And as from the statistics I have, there's an increase in terms of the teacher-pupil ratio compared to the way it used to be because of the numbers. I told you in 2021 how many teachers were there in the whole country. About 119,000. Then it goes up in 3 years by over 41,000. It has never taken place in the history of this country. There is no single country in Southern Africa, and later on, planet Earth with that record. It's only in your country. But again, it is not harmful for us to get views from those that are opposed to what we are offering. It is normal. but whether what they are bringing forward is making sense or not. So because at the end of the day, when they bring this criticism, the question you need to ask yourself is that, should we dump free education because someone believes that the teacher-pupil ratio is not in tandem? You have to make a decision. And what decision should we make? The decision we have to make is that education is the greatest equalizer. Let us equip a citizen with a grade 12 certificate. Then they can choose to go for police, they can choose to go to the university, they can choose to go anywhere. We should not stop them from being educated or getting that particular qualification on the basis of their economic status. So now you coin in what you may refer to as, at this point, the doctrine of a lesser evil, where both sides could be undesirable. So you look at the lesser evil. Which one is better? To have pupils who are multiplying on the streets begging because their parents cannot afford school fees, or to have pupils that who have education over time. It has the quality, because we have to address this. I want to spend a bit of time on this. We must address these two things differently. First of all, what is the first point? Many pupils were out of school. What is the impression? 2 million have been added. What is the concern? Quality. How do we address quality? And now this is the question now. How are we responding to quality? We need more schools to be built, which is now coming under CDF. Number one. Number two, how do we deal with the issue of teacher-pupil ratio? We need to recruit more teachers.
Now, let's touch on another promise by President Hage and a commitment he made to the Zambian people, which is the observation of the rule of law. And you spoke about that also earlier. That's been a key issue. I remember even his first address in the National Assembly, in Parliament, he spoke about this, saying there'll be no sacred cows under his watch, and the rule of law will be respected in this country. Now, if you look at where we're at today, can we really say this commitment is being fulfilled? Especially that, again, not so long ago, we were even hearing from the Anti-Corruption Commission, who have stated that their cabinet ministers being investigated who have not been named, and this has also been a concern by some members of the public, because we've seen other individuals, especially from the opposition, who get to be investigated, and if information is publicized, and sometimes to the detriment of these individuals, because some of these individuals get acquitted or their cases do not go far, and they still have that dent in terms of their image as corrupt individuals. So when we look at the rule of law here, can we say from that aspect that it's being respected?
So it is one thing to discuss, it is another to demonstrate. And the question that we need to ask ourselves is that, who is corrupt, that we can have a fair conversation, and that person has been identified that they are corrupt. What did they steal? And that nothing was done by the police. That should be the conversation. Then we'll be fair with each other when we discuss corruption. And secondly, when law enforcement agencies have suspicion, they start investigating. They are not saying they have found probable causes to cite you as a corrupt person. They are saying they are suspicious. Because crime investigation starts with suspicion. When they establish that what they suspected is not what is on the ground, then they will not effect arrest. So what we do not have in this conversation now on issues relating to the fight against corruption, someone to tell me that that one stole a vehicle. When they stole a vehicle, they were acquitted. We don't have that kind of record. I'm looking for that kind of record so that we can have a fair conversation. So to put the matter to rest, my brother, we should agree that when we talk about the rule of law, we should also talk about presumption of innocence. It's part of the rule of law. That no one, everyone is an accused is presumed innocent until proven guilty. Okay? So once we undertake that approach, then we'll get somewhere. At the same time, we have people in the UPND, permanent secretaries, ministers, who are appearing in court for various allegations. They are still appearing in court. Others, it could have been an initial switch light. Others could have been DC, involved in activities that relate to the distribution of agro inputs. They have been arrested. So then, the fair conversation we need to have is, what should government do to observe DCs, permanent secretaries doing wrong things without law enforcement agencies moving in? or to identify a mischief, then law enforcement agencies decide to move in. If government is responding to the concerns by arresting the perpetrators, then that is what the rule of law is about. The rule of law does not mean absence of lawlessness. It simply means you are executing the law in a just manner, and offenders are given what they deserve. That should be the narrative. Where we believe that offenders have not been given what they deserve, we must demonstrate that this person bent a vehicle. They did not deserve to be arrested. Then we should also be asking ourselves then, what kind of society are we going to have? So this is how fair the conversation should be when we start talking about these things. A mere conversation around corruption will not help my brother in Chibolia. Corruption is cancerous. Corruption is bad because it takes away the very little coin that is required to help my mother under the program called Cash for Week, under the social cash transfer. And all of us should be participants in the fight against corruption. And that's how...
The other concern is that there's been a selective application of the rule of law, where individuals who are from the opposition or very critical of the Zambian government, if they get to be arrested, and how the police will pounce on them and how the police will react is completely different to what the situation would be for anybody who's speaking in favor of the United Party for National Development, or subsequently the Zambian government. And that has been a major concern from a number of your colleagues from the opposition.
Now, again, it's a matter of demonstrating. I want to demonstrate myself that the question that you are asking should be the other way around. In the sense that here are the youths who start harassing members of the public as they go to bury their friend Mizinga at Lepas Hill. Then because the president promised that he will not allow lawlessness, even from his own people, and then the head of state is the first one to say, can they be arrested? And Radio Phoenix carried the story. Simuuwe and the friend says that's the way to go. Today the question has come that there is selective application of the law. How are we going to justify that? When Simuuwe and the what? There's that program you presented.
The Duchess.
The Duchess are saying it is the right thing to do on this particular platform. Using the same microphone, then you ask it as a question. So I'll borrow the words of Simuuwe and the Duchess that the president has done the right thing. No one is above the law.
But the concern that has come through from your stakeholders is, I mean, there are also a number of examples where certain individuals have there's been no clear action taken on some of these individuals that have also publicly made certain statements or done certain things that if members of the opposition did the same thing, they'll quickly be arrested.
Yeah, let me give you an example. If you insult me, who is supposed to sue who? It's the one who has suffered the injury. So the question you need to ask yourself is, if those people have said certain things, did someone report them to the police? And that the police did nothing. We need to complete the conversation. Because it is one thing to see someone posting something. It is another to go and have a complainant.
Shouldn't that actually worry you that people perhaps do not have confidence even in the law enforcers, that perhaps no action will be taken? Maybe that's why that has not been happening.
If there was no confidence in the law enforcers, a number of us wouldn't have been going to the police from the time immemorial to report offences. You remember that even UPND was reporting people at the police in the opposition. Number one, even writing other institutions for laws that were broken. The breakdown in the rule of law. Abuse of fundamental rights and freedoms of citizens. But then, the concern we must advance must be also backed by examples that I have reported this person who broke the law and the police have done nothing. Then we can now escalate the conversation and say, why didn't police officer B take action? to merely have a conversation premised around accusing other people and say, there are people who have said things and nothing has been done. Have they been reported? Have they been reported? And the conversation should be, yes, they were reported, but nothing was done. Then we'll be fair with each other. When I'm injured as an individual, I go to report to the police. I have matters that I talk about them. I went and reported to the police. Previously, people would take the law in their own hands. They would start hunting down fellow citizens because they believed they were above the law, with machetes going to flush them out of their houses and setting their houses ablaze. But not anymore, because my president is saying, if you break the law, you are on your own. I know he will not defend me if I take the law in my own hands, thinking that I'm immune to prosecution. Because when you are given the mandate to run the country, you must always realize that there is tomorrow. There are a lot of examples that we can cite from the PF, and so many lessons that we can draw from the PF. Like I have always said, that even the UPND members that involve themselves in criminal activities should also remember that there is tomorrow. But then we need to separate facts from politics, where people are having a political conversation that there is selective application of the law. Who selected? Who reported and then nothing was done? I'm sure you are also aware that we have seen our colleagues engage police on a number of issues. We have seen our own members arrested. Just youths were coming from the Copper Belt. When they reached Chisamba, they had a confrontation with police officers. Secretariat, where I am, could not defend them. Those youths were arrested. Even in Liswaniso, the youth leader knows that no one will protect the youths who are truant. If people break the law with impunity, they are in trouble. The president further went and said, if I hear a UPND member chasing a PF member from the market, you are in trouble. Because he's saying, by removing them, you are increasing poverty. Go and look for spaces and trade. Don't remove your friends. Because I want you to understand what I'm trying to say here. All things being equal, if we go back to the old type of politics we were practicing, you discover that the moment a new government comes in, all the cadres will go and flush out all those political party from the market and bus stations, then they take over. But the president was the first one to sound the warning. And this message must resonate with all the cadres. So, in all fairness, my view is that can we be judged fairly based on empirical evidence that someone reported?
Chisha sends a message here, says, how come when an ordinary citizen does anything wrong, they're spotted even without anyone reporting? So police suddenly wait for someone to report when it has to do with the UPND?
Now let me tell you, that is a very good message from Chisha. But I want to tell you that police cannot arrest you without a state witness. Someone must report. Because the police themselves cannot be state witnesses alone. That's the criminal procedure. Otherwise, the matter must be dropped. They must identify a complainant. That's the process before they take you to court for a criminal offense. Who should say they are affected by the words used by this person, not the police. There should be someone there to open the docket. These words published on this day affect me. So when you post like that, you must be very careful and understand that there is a legal process.
We'll speak also into issues of the cyber laws and generally state of democracy and freedoms in this country. We'll break off for the community news at 10, and right after that we continue with Let the People Talk. Our guest is the UPND Media Director, Mr. Simuuwe. We'll also open up the phone lines for you to call in and weigh in on the conversations.
You're at the till. Groceries packed, then boom. No wallet. No card. Don't stress. With StanPay by StanBank, you just approve the prompt on your phone and enter your StanBank PIN. No cash, no card, no drama. StanPay works wherever you shop. It's quick, safe, and 100% digital. Cardless, cashless, seamless. Activate your mobile banking to enjoy StanPay by StanBank at all Consequence Pay points.
You have to go down to that disturbing the page. Disturb the page.
The time is 10 hours. Time for the community news.
The community news on Phoenix FM.
Luwingu District Commissioner urges cooperatives to be proactive. Mpika Council challenges 30 plot owners to develop their land. To present the community news, I'm Lucibilo Gondwe. Luwingu District Commissioner Chomba Chileshe has challenged cooperatives in the district to be proactive and contribute to national development. Speaking at the 103rd International Cooperative Day celebrations, Mr. Chileshe highlighted cooperatives' role in sustainable development and achieving national goals. He says government has implemented strategies to support community-driven enterprises, including decentralizing financing opportunities through the Constituency Development Fund, CDF, and the Citizens Economic Empowerment Commission. Mr. Chileshe encouraged cooperatives to leverage these initiatives to improve their operations and provide affordable loans and accessible financial services. And Northern Province Principal Cooperative and Entrepreneurship Development Officer, Dene Maluti, urged cooperatives to acquire necessary documents and collaborate with stakeholders to foster development. Mbika Town Council has given 30 plot owners in Musakanya Ward 30 days to develop their plots, warning that a failure to comply will result in repossession. The plots located near Natse Bank, Mbika Diocese and Trenchtown have been idle despite a 1.5-year development period. The Council Public Relations Officer, Moshota Mpundu, stated that the owners have failed to construct any structures on their plots, which is against the law requiring development within 18 months of purchase. And the Town Council Director Planning, Martha Chikwanda, emphasized that undeveloped plots distort the town's beauty, attract criminal activities, and hinder systematic development. Meanwhile, the Musakanya Ward Councillor, Kangwa Tole, urged affected plot owners to quickly mobilize resources and start developing their plots before the deadline. To end the community news, another look at the headlines. Luwingu District Commissioner urges cooperatives to be proactive, and Mbika Council challenges 30 plot owners to develop their land. Keep listening to Let the People Talk.
The community news on Phoenix FM.
Imagine having the financial freedom to live life on your terms. With the ABSA Ultimate Plus account, you can manage your finances, save for the future, and access personal loans. Plus, enjoy travel insurance, a credit card, and retrenchment cover when the unexpected happens. If that's not value, I don't know what is. Let's help you write the next chapter of your ultimate story. Call 5950 to open an Ultimate Plus account today.
Your story matters. ABSA. Zambia, are you ready? The Infinix Summer Sale is here. 29th and 30th of August 2025. 2 days of crazy discount of up to 15% on all Infinix smartphones. Stay connected with fast charging, lightweight designs, excellent camera quality, and long-lasting power. All at prices you won't believe. And here's the big one. Buy any Infinix phone during the sale and you could win one of 2 solar kits to power your home or drive away in the grand prize of brand new car. This is big, this is hard, and it's only at authorized Infinix stores nationwide. Hurry, stocks are limited and the prizes are waiting for you. Infinix, fast, stylish, powerful. Terms and conditions apply.
The Agricultural Institute of Zambia announces its first ever inaugural general meeting and scientific conference to be held on the 21st and 22nd August 2025 at the Radisson Blue Hotel in Lusaka under the theme Innovative Science-Driven Strategies for Climate-Resilient Agricultural Transformation. The conference brings together Zambia's great minds as they explore contributions towards scientific innovations in shaping climate-resilient agriculture in Zambia. Contact Brightline Africa on info@brightline.co.za. The Agricultural Institute of Zambia, creating the thriving agriculture sector through professionalism, innovation, collaboration, and continuous advancement.
Try to search for the link and share. Okay. This is the password.
Welcome back. It's you tuned in to Phoenix FM. This is Let the People Talk, 5 minutes past 10 in the morning. Our guest today is the United Party for National Development Media Director, Mr. Mark Simuuwe. And we're also reviewing the 4 years of the United Party for National Development as it officially clocks 4 years on the 24th of August, which is this Sunday. And just before the break, we were looking at issues of the rule of law and the application of it, and the concerns that have also emerged that there has been selective application of the rule of law. Now, I've gotten some messages in relation to that, and one message that keeps standing out, about 3 contributions have come through, and this is in a very fresh matter that involves one Enoch, well, now late Enoch Simuuwe, who was put to rest yesterday. Very sad turn of events where we saw parents mourning their son, but even just the events that have led to where we're at today. This from what we got from the police, 4 people were arrested in connection with this particular matter, a matter that involves also the a businesswoman, farmer Maria Zalomes, and there's been a number of calls where people have been calling for her arrest as well in this matter, which the police have not done. In fact, gave a statement that there was an aspect of self-defense here. But the concern from some stakeholders is that she's being shielded, and is another example of selective application of the rule of law. And the background behind this is obviously her mother being Electoral Commission of Zambia chairperson, and that has made people link all of this to her being shielded in all of this. What's your comment on this, Mr. Simuuwe?
Yeah, there is, again, that is a political politically stage managed conversation. First of all, I wish to mention that we have reached a stage in the history of the country where we are using the court of social media, where people go on social media and adduce evidence and conclude everything. Others will even hold certain individuals innocent on social media. Now that's fine, that's the evolution of the media. But then, we are not going to have a situation where people want to run the police. People are trained to be police officers. And the police does not move at the speed of a common person like Mark Simuuwe, who has never done police training. One of the reasons PF lost some cases to President HH, I remember in one of the cases, is that a police officer didn't investigate. One of the questions during cross-examination, the defense lawyer would ask is, did you investigate that? Yes. Did you investigate? No. But how did you arrest the person that investigated? No, social media was making calls. Then the matters collapsed in court. So if you are an officer, you've been sent to enforce the law, you must investigate. Let me give you an example. You have, for example, suspicious transactions by FIC. They are called suspicious transactions. So they will raise a red flag in order for the law enforcement agencies who are trained now to investigate crime and detect crime and prevent crime to move to the site to do the job. After they've done that, they have now enough information. They can now have this person arrested. When they have been arrested, they must be told about the offense they are being charged with. After they've been charged, there is the warn and caution statement, where now these people are now undergoing that particular legal process. But then, I must indicate that it is a court of social media. And unless we want to run government institutions on social media, such that when something happened, everything must move at our speed. I'll give you an example. Just to pull your leg. That person was killed. There was a video. I'll show you. In determining causation, definitely that will be the law of causation that will come into effect. The prosecution must demonstrate that the beating, I want you to see the dynamics. The beating was the operative and substantive cause of the death. That's where it leads to when prosecution begins. So there are all those technicalities that come in. Arrests have been effected, not because of social media, but because police have done their job. If today I'm found dead in the studio, then one person says, post on Facebook that Mark was slapped by Simuuwe, then he fell down. They'll not just come and pick Simuuwe. Someone must give a testimony who happens now to be part of the state witnesses to help police arrive or the prosecution arrive on justice, so that they give Simuuwe what he deserves and the dead also get what they deserve. That's how it works. So we are not going to move into a political conversation which is purely skewed. If a person or a child has committed an offense, the very fact that their parent is working for a government institution does not mean that they must be charged, they must be judged on social media. That's why you have the law. That's why you have the court. What will happen? Because I'll tell you what is happening. Imagine out of all those people that were arrested, each one gives a testimony. Then one of them who is standing out because maybe of the relationship with a particular prominent person is acquitted. Because maybe the prosecution has done, they have not done their homework. Or there's a testimony that the ones who are doing the beating is this one. And they did ABCD. And then at the end of the day, even the sentencing and everything are different, and at the same time they are acquitted. People wake up and say, that person has been acquitted because the parent works this side. We have heard of people who have killed other people in ritually related issues, and sometimes they've been judged online, and they are politicians. Have you asked, since they belong to the opposition or elsewhere, why they've not been arrested? Even when social media said a lot of things.
Now, just now, on that issue you put up on the issue of the police taking action, which even takes me to another question from Mr. Banda, who says, when someone is in clear violation of the law, the police really need a complainant before they can act. We have to remember why they're there in the first place, and that takes us back to even some of those concerns that people have noticed in what they're calling the selective application of the rule of law, where some of these offences are made in the public domain through social platforms, there are videos to that effect that get to circulate for all to see.
So I'll give you an example. It depends also what offense you are dealing with. For example, there is a public disorder. Someone is brandishing a gun in town. Then there is a tip-off on the police by members of the public. Police will move it. Number one. Two, police are present at the scene. Police will move in because part of their mandate is to prevent crime. Okay? Now, that's why we are saying, to be fair in the conversation, we must demonstrate a crime that has been committed. It has been reported, because some of them are a nuisance. I'm sure you understand what that means. They just border on public disorder. Okay? Then some of them are defamatory. So who suffers the injury? If it's civil jurisdiction, you are calling your brand, maybe you're projecting me differently online. There may not be a criminal element there. So if there is no criminal element, and I'm the one who has suffered the injury because you've written about me, I'm the complainant, not my neighbor. So it also depends on what kind of offense you're talking about. You cannot wait for a person to report if a life has been lost. Police will definitely move in to investigate. Because when you are dealing with the police, they are not adversarial, they are inquisitorial. In other words, they inquire. The one that is adversarial is the justice, is the court system. The court will not go. You must move the court that this person has broken the law and demonstrate how they have broken. Then the court will make a pronouncement. So now, what we are saying is that when we are raising these things, we should not mix them with political conversations. We will not win the battle. Because I've demonstrated also where UPND members are being arrested. So they should demonstrate where a minister has been found with corruption and they've been exempted from, or they are immune to prosecution. Now, the challenge that we are having is that people send messages, they do not tell me which minister is corrupt and what they stole. So that we can now conclude the conversation and the allegation.
But obviously, even from the members of the public, people have a number of suspicions based off what has been going on, and the fact that even just the Anti-Corruption Commission will not avail this information yet to members of the public is what even makes some of that skepticism arise for some members of the public.
It will be an injustice to members of the public if we are going to be discussing suspicions. We must have a substantive conversation so that we help members of the public.
But isn't that what it has been for
And
a very
what
long
we are
time?
saying-
Because even in the past, we talk
Yeah.
about these
Yeah.
issues related to corruption. It's been suspicion.
There
Even
is
if you
a-
talk about the reports, it's been
Yeah.
suspicion.
Yeah.
It's
There is a-
FIC, it's the Auditor
Yes.
General's report.
Yes.
It's all suspicion.
So there is a legal maxim that he that alleges must prove. And this is where we have to end the conversation. That if someone is alleging, let them go and prove. It's as simple as that. No one stops them. It is another conversation, Simuuwe, if at all the people that are alleging and sending suspicion have taken a step. And they are telling us here that they were alleging that this minister stole a chicken. They went and reported at ACC, nothing has been done. That should have been a different conversation. But we are discussing non-issues where people are not telling us what Mark did so that Mark should be arrested, and then they have exempted Mark. So I want to demonstrate by indicating, my brother, that I have told you, UPND officials, permanent secretaries, workers in government, not political party members, ZAMSA, not politicians, but technocrats, have been arrested. They have been arrested. Some politicians are appearing in court. A minister, former PS, who was even provincial chairman for the UPND. So now, when I'm able to demonstrate that way, I'm also saying, let them demonstrate so that we can have a fair conversation.
Let's touch on the issue of the cyber laws. And even just when our social media team had shared that Mr. Mark Simuuwe will be here and getting people's thoughts on the last 4 years and how they would rate the last 4 years. Some were very skeptical to speak out, were afraid to speak out, and it's been a common sentiment on social media. Cyber laws. Therefore, we cannot really express ourselves. We cannot express how we really feel about the administration under this government because we are afraid of being arrested for speaking our mind. Don't you think that now speaks into the type of freedoms and democracy we're getting into, where you have some citizens who are afraid to speak their mind because they fear being arrested?
Now, let me give you an example by indicating that cyber laws are targeting offenders, not those who are expressing themselves within the law. Speaking out is not an insult. It's putting government to account and debating national issues. The people that are concerned about their insults. That's not freedom of expression. They are concerned about defamation. That's not freedom of expression. All countries have these laws in the world because there is an international convention, a UN convention on trade, where President H was not even there. There were other presidents. They went and signed as signatories on behalf of Zambia. All the countries in the SADC region, go online, those of you that are listening to the program. Malawi has cyber laws. Botswana has cyber laws. Well, how did the international community come up with that? Because what has been happening is that previously, you would steal money from my pocket when I'm looking in another direction, because I was putting money in my pocket together with a wallet. Today, because I'm putting money in my SIM card electronically, people are using a computer to come and steal from me. So what this law has done is to follow those who are sending a computer to go and steal. That's what the law have done. They are no longer going to, very few are going to the pocket, but they are now using a computer. They send it to go and steal from Simuuwe. The other example is that previously, you will stand on the ante and start insulting me, Simuuwe. Today, I'll pick my computer and send it and say, go and insult Simuuwe. then the computer will start insulting Simuuwe on my page, insult Simuuwe. So laws have been made to follow the computer which has been sent. Because human beings have changed their way of committing offenses and their way of insulting. So laws have been made which follow the computer that is being sent. And these laws are there to go and stop the computer which is being sent to go and insult Simuuwe. And we call them cyber laws. So if insulting me directly is an offense, if you insult me online, it's an offense. That's what laws have done. So people are saying they can't express themselves because they are told not to insult me by sending a computer to insult me. The law is saying the one who sent this computer is Simuuwe to insult Maximum. So can we follow the one who sent the insults using the computer? And how did he use the computer? The phone is computerized. He goes online and sends using Facebook and insults Mac. He's just in the background. He hasn't used any word. He hasn't used the mouth. He may use sometimes the mouth, but he has sent a computer. So laws have simply followed the computer that is being sent, so that Mark is not abused by the computer that has been sent by Simuuwe.
Now, the irony of this particular, the laws, because obviously it's the Cyber Security Act and the Cyber Crimes Act here, the irony of the introduction of the cyber laws is, and this, I guess, will haunt the UPND to some extent, because the Republican president, when he was in the opposition, was not comfortable with the cyber laws being introduced. He spoke against this. In fact, he committed that this would be abolished once he forms government, once he becomes Republican president. But this is the same law that now, interestingly enough, you as the ruling party find very convenient and as such a good law.
Now, we are mixing up things here, and it's important that you've asked that question. What we had was the Cyber Security and Cyber Crime Act. This Cyber Security Act has repealed that law. Are we together? The Cyber Security Act has repealed the Cyber Security and Cyber Crime Act. That's what it has done. In addition to that, anything that we hear of as cyber does not mean it is bad. It is the laws that are found in that particular act of parliament. Now, under the circumstances...
But the principle remains the same, the principle remains the same.
No, cyber simply means electronic. Unless you want us to abolish all the computers. Cyber is basically...
But if you talk about the laws that have been enacted, the
yes,
principle remains the same,
now,
with the concern being that people's freedoms will be curtailed, and that's the same concern today.
Let me demonstrate, my brother. Even if you remove this law today, Cyber Security Act, I want to give you an example of accessing my private information. There is already a case law which involved a couple and a phone. That a phone is a private gadget. The court ruled. So that law exists through that case. What this Cyber Security Act has done is to codify this judgment, to put it that a phone is a private gadget. In other words, there is already a ruling in court. Even if you remove this law, you can still be arrested for violating my getting into my phone without the permission. And this was about a couple. Secondly, there is a law, my brother, on the criminal trespass. So what this has done is that we were sending a computer to encroach. It's the same rules. Where you come in my yard, start taking photos without permission. What we use as standard media enforced that law a long time ago. I'm sure you've worked for BBC Media Action. What do they do when you go to interview people in society? Don't they use consent? They use consent. You are basically getting news. That's what BBC does. There will be a consent form to sign, informing the people that you cover that the information that they are gathering will be used in public. We are just coming from behind ourselves. CNN does the same. I told you I've worked with CSOs, civil society organizations, for consultancy. It's the same thing. When I went to conduct a research in Fuanyama, part of the rules they have is that you must first seek consent. Even in research, there should be consent. They sign that this information be used for academic purposes. Now, if you do not seek consent, you can be sued. Now, what we have done is to get such kind of laws and codify them in this particular law. What is wrong with that?
And that was the biggest question that was also asked
Now,
at that particular time.
Yeah,
and that's why I said the principle
yeah.
remains the same. That even as it was being enacted at that particular time, there was a broader context to it. But you as the politicians narrowed it down to people's freedoms being curtailed, and the same thing is happening. That's why others are saying that this is beginning to haunt you again, because you, of course, would argue it from the broader perspective and the benefits and the larger perspective. But at the same time, the bottom line for some stakeholders is that their freedoms of expression get to be curtailed, and people don't freely get to express themselves because of this of the laws.
This is what we are saying. I'm belaboring to explain that no one has been arrested for saying UPND has failed. People have been arrested for insulting. So can you separate it? No, I'm not hearing of anyone saying someone was insulted, he was arrested because they criticized load shedding. You need to give me an example of that person. But I am aware of people that went out of their way. Because what the law has done is that freedom of expression is not absolute. It is limited by the Constitution. It's not absolute. It is in Zambia where some citizens believe it's absolute. It's limited by the Constitution. All the fundamental rights and freedoms are limited by the Constitution. I want to demonstrate. There is what we call derogations. Derogations are exceptions to the rule that you don't have absolute freedom. For example, if you have a disease, then you are excluded by the government. You are told you are not going to, you can't claim freedom of association.
So with that particular point, then what was the fear before? Because did we have people get arrested because they said the Patriotic Front government has failed merely for saying that? So what was the fear then? Because the same principle can apply.
The fear before was that they pushed in laws that were arresting people even for criticizing government. They decided to send people to...
Were there examples of that?
Yes. President HH was a victim. He said they sent youth to Sudan where there was war. Later on, when HH was freed, Karaba was minister. He went on the podium and announced the scholarships to Sudan. You get the point?
But the point
Now,
in that case
here is another point.
Is not the same.
No. I'm trying to demonstrate. You asked me to demonstrate. The second thing, the first time that the FIC report came out, I'm sure you saw that there were terrorism-related activities there. HH raised that. He was arrested. But the FIC report, which was rejected by ECL, may his soul rest in peace, had the information for which HH was arrested. So, in other words, that law sought to arrest even whistleblowers. Today, when we talk about this issue, we are not only talking, we are also protecting, for example, why? Because it's only in Zambia, you travel, it's only in Zambia where the internet is porous. You are not going to go and start discussing Simuuwe and his girlfriend online. I can give you examples. Go to China, they will arrest you. Go to Dubai, they will arrest you. Go to USA, you're in trouble. Do you know what? That's why the same Facebook, those rules you find, such as one, cyberbullying, you've seen them when you are reporting someone on Facebook. Cyberbullying, nude pictures, fraud. Facebook is not scared of the laws in Zambia. They are scared of the laws in USA. That's why those things are. That's why you've seen the owners of Facebook from time to time, they have been summoned by the government there. So, in cutting the long conversation.
So we can also open up the phone lines.
Yes. In cutting the long conversation, I'm simply saying, my brother, that people are free to criticize Simuuwe. But they are not going to start insulting Maki's persona. They get into his bedroom. That is not freedom, my brother. How many families are in trouble today because of the conversations that are found online? We cannot run a country where you can discuss every husband who is not part of your family online. You can't run the country like that. You're not going to run a country where people can post naked pictures of other people simply because they are no longer in a relationship. You can't run the country like that. When they are arrested, then you cry freedom of expression. So these are things, my brother, we must contextualize.
It's 10:30. Let's open up the phone lines and get as many contributions as we can. Remember, as you call in, please keep your contributions brief, in less than a minute. Please get to the point with your question or contribution, and we will get our guest, Mr. Simuuwe, to respond to those questions or contributions. Good morning.
Good morning to myself. Good morning,
Morning, Prof.
Dr. Brown from Gade.
Yes.
We want to salute our President, including Zambian people who wanted President Hakainde. President Hakainde was being called the Zambia and he never been a councillor or MOP. He has managed to buy police vehicle in 4 years' time. Chiefs, paras are being built. Right now, when you come to Garden, where PF was the real one stronghold with the Chinika Pata for 10 years, Garden Road is being worked on, making on it. Removing what structure, including when you go to Obama, where Mombipili used to be MOP in Munadi, there's a road which is going on, including in the Copper Belt. So these achievements, we are going to remain in some maximum deliver this message to cabinet on the road shedding. If we end the road shedding, I don't know window, and then I they are going to say what they want to message. To come to conclude, it will be difficult as the UPND to remain quiet where our people are. Some people are insulting our president over the case of Varungu Baba. We'll be defending our president also. Thank you very much.
Thank you for a call. Let's take another call. Good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
Good, thank you. How are you?
I'm all right, thank you. This is Uncle VC calling you from Banana.
Yes, sir. Please go ahead. Yeah, your name again, sorry?
Yes, thank you very much.
Your name? I think we didn't get your name clearly.
Uncle VC from Kabanana.
All right, VC, please go ahead.
Yes. Mr. Simuuwe, how are you?
Fine, thank you, Uncle VC. How are you?
I'm alright, thank you.
I'll conclude you are Vincent. Or Victor.
Voice and Jerry.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you.
I'm looking at the Bangono. UPND government is working very hard. The only thing that we have with Zambians is that we always oppose even a good thing that the government is doing under his excellency's leadership. That's why the government said, now they try not to have with Zambians to get a load and buy a food. Get the load and drink beer. I think it's not acceptable. Let us support this president. Otherwise, they can't see a good day without the critics until this time. Otherwise, UPND is working very hard. Thank you very much for the president and the workers in place for this country altogether.
Thank you. Let's take another call here. Good morning.
Hello, good morning, Mr. Chimweka. Good morning.
Morning, sir.
Okay, my name is Collins, calling in from Illegal Park.
Your name again, sorry?
It's Collins.
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 All right.
I think your maximum your government hasn't been inclusive on the issues of electricity. Because if we remember the last statement they gave was by August, the power issue was stabilized, but what have we seen? Waste. Every time it's waste. You know how much us who are doing those small businesses have been affected, and we will never forgive you for the electricity issue. Right now, I've got a colleague who's just coming from Zimbabwe. The water situation has stabilized in Kariba, but the problem we're still facing this critical power shortage issue is because you are exporting power. You are exporting power, and this has affected so much us who are surviving on our own, and we are watching you. Otherwise, selective justice again is there, because that person who was filming that incident should have also been arrested. Thank you.
All right, thank you. We'll take one more call before we let Mr. Simuuwe respond. Hello, good morning.
Hello, good morning.
You're through to let the people talk. Who's on the line?
Okay. Now, this is SH. What's going to happen?
Okay, thank you.
Hello?
Mr. HH. It's a pleasure.
Hello? Hello, I think maybe if you are able to hear me, let me...
Yes, okay, please just go ahead, yes.
I can't hear. Yes, yes. For me, I think I can say on free education, I appreciate, and peace. Even if there is a heavy load of kids that have gone back to school, I think that's a great challenge that wakes up the government to improve on teachers and desks, and also for the peace that has been retained. Yes, there can be some one or two individuals that are trying to do or to perpetrate the violence that maybe the past regimes have been doing, cadarism, but 80% or 90% there is peace. We are able to move freely, we are able to do one or two things freely. And coming to the issue of the late Simuuwe, I think I want to ask Simuuwe clearly. To be honest, if it was someone like me, a poor person, and I'm fuming that live in my own farm, I'm fuming, I'm not even stopping those people, my voice is not heard. No, don't do this, let's get to the police or whatsoever. Are you sure I was going to be spared? If the police, they came from somewhere, police the way they are acting to us, the poor. Once you are found close to someone who they want you are together, police are being there, all of you will be picked. It will be an issue of coming out from the police, and you have to pay for you to come out. So surely, can they spare me on that issue? I was fuming, I didn't even stop these people from doing whatever they were doing, and it's my farm. Can I be spared and just behind? Even if the state wants secure this state witness, I think let's be fair. To be honest, let's be fair. I can't be spared. I can be picked up by the police. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much for coming through. Okay, so let's get your response, Mr. Simuuwe. I know Dr. VC spoke of the UPND working very hard and encouraged people to work very hard. Then Dr. Proud spoke of development, but he spoke of load shedding, says that's one area that needs to be worked on, and that concurs with Collins, yes, who mentions that. He also speaks of selective justice. So let's start with that.
With the last one, HH, I think he's talking about a person being spared. Now, you see, the matter is in the hands of the police. What we cannot do is to pronounce social media judgment, because we are not law enforcement agencies. We have no skills in investigating crime. For argument's sake, to put this matter to rest, has anyone told us that the 4 that have been arrested, one of them was not filming? Because people are creating a conversation and making conclusions. If you were to be asked a question, those 4 that have been arrested, what if police today told you that the one who was filming was one of the culprits? What will you say? So let us not conclude because we were not at the scene. People have been arrested. Let's wait for the wheels of justice to take course. The people have been arrested. Would have a problem if no one has been arrested? I have asked that question deliberately because we are creating a narrative. You were not there, I was not there. Police has not told us what role each one of those played. But you already have people on social media discussing the role that each one of them played, but they were not there. So, let me quickly get to...
also Collins' issue of electricity.
Yeah, so Collins' issue of electricity. Well, Collins, first of all, to start with, we are coming from the worst drought ever experienced. Over 97% of electricity in Zambia is hydroelectric generated. In other words, for many years from independence, even when there was a message about climate change, no one was thinking of alternative source of energy. We continued investing in something that was going to backfire someday. Meanwhile, the population was growing. So what was the promise to the people of Zambia? We shall start investing in alternative source of energy. Unfortunately, we were overtaken by the drought. But then, it has not destroyed the plan. ZESCO being found in the position it was, owing over 1.6 billion. And there was almost a takeover from another company. It was gone. Government has managed to pay over $1 billion. I told you about Mamba Quarries. They paid $500 million. and you remember that at some point you could even see some foreign nationals driving ZESCO vehicles before UPND came in. Then let me get to the point. You said, I was in Zimbabwe with the Secretary General, I'm sure I recall, when I was meeting Nangabo. The time we were arriving here, people were saying, no, there's no load shedding here. I told them, I don't know, what are you talking about? Because when we were in Zimbabwe, we were engaging our colleagues. The first question they asked the SG was that, how is the Zambezi River? We are worried. Then we started telling them, wow, there is a ceremony in Western Province called Komboka. Since it's taking place, and since the flood plains are giving us a good sign, we are still waiting for that water to come. I said, we are worried. And then there's also some rainfall in Northwestern Province. They are also waiting because they are depending on that. The gorges that you see there obviously bring very limited water supply into from the Zimbabwean side. Then I should further mention that, like Zambia, Zimbabwe has other sources other than Kariba Dam, which sources you do not have. You have a situation where you go to Luapula, the hydropower station there produces 15 megawatts. Then you have a deficit of over 700 megawatts, which is, you know, just Lusaka alone at peak hour uses about 600 megawatts. Lusaka as a province is using more electricity than Botswana as a country, which uses 500 megawatts. So that you understand the magnitude of the crisis. Issues relating to exports were announced by the chief government spokesperson. The government recorded the power when we had a crisis. And true to the fact, I'm sure many parts of the country have started receiving at least at a minimum maybe 9 hours now.
But with the fact that we got into, we had load shedding again, is it safe to say that this is a lack of leadership? Because this is something that the Republican president, again, we'll make reference to him, had said. When we had experienced load shedding under the previous government, he said it's just a lack of leadership. And he gave examples of countries where they do not have the luxury of having hydroelectricity supply.
Correct.
And spoke towards lack of leadership.
Correct.
And with he was again the same president after he assumed office, declared that load shedding came to an end, and we had load shedding again after a drought, just like it was in the previous regime. But he called it a lack of leadership then. So can we apply that principle as well now, that we've got a lack of leadership?
Here is the difference. The time he was raising those concerns, okay, he had a plan in mind together with the party of putting in place alternative source of energy, like I mentioned to you, that we were overtaken by the drought. Because obviously we did not promise the drought, okay, to the people of Zambia, the worst kind of it, okay. When he was saying this, our colleagues were throwing money into hydropower stations. And his argument was that, look, there is climate change. Can we get to alternative source of energy? As we are speaking today, my brother Chimweka, we have 100 megawatts in Chisamba. We are anticipating another 100 megawatts at Kariba North Bank. What he was talking about when he was in the opposition. Then we are anticipating another one at Kafia Gorge, another one in Utestezi. We already commissioned the 60 megawatts at Copperbelt Energy, plus another one coming in from Ndola Power. Then we have Nololo Solar Plant, which has an MOU. ZESCO, as we are speaking, has signed about 29 MOUs with different companies that will engage in generating electricity, out of about 30 by 31. Radio Phoenix was present during the signing. Then the president has come up with a milestone, because he promised the people, she's calling Presidential Solar Project 1,000, because his target is to get 1,000 watts to beat the deficit that we have been having. So the deficit that we have been having can be beaten this way. Number one, government has put in place policies under the net metering system to allow for the private sector players to generate and connect to the national grid. As we are speaking, over 500 megawatts has, so far, should be 500 megawatts is anticipated, yes. And then, in addition to that, Chimweka, if he got at least 20 kVA or 30 kVA, he's free to connect to ZESCO upon meeting those formal requirements, and then you earn a living out of it as business. Previously, there were rigidities. Citizens could not be allowed to do that. Okay? Secondly, the government has allowed the private sector players to even reach a stage where they can even import power and sell. Thirdly, there is a southern power pool initiative to which government is a signatory. That is why this issue of a drought was not central to Zambia. It pulled all the African leaders to Tanzania to discuss energy. All the African leaders to Tanzania, a summit there to discuss energy. And it was discovered that your country has now is among the top 5 countries or 4 which have the biggest solar panels in Africa. In other words, we are ahead. That was his song. He said we shall run ZESCO better. And true to the fact, ZESCO had to undertake through the negotiations between President HH and President Xi Jinping. ZESCO signed MOUs with China Power to set up those power plants and also to put up solar panels at household, household solar panels on rooftops. All those projects are being undertaken. And people thought it were a joke until they saw the first commissioning. Now we are getting to Itetezi, where Radio Phoenix also traveled with some colleagues from ZESCO to witness what was going on there. So you can now see that this is what HHO was meant. He said, look, let us not sit. Countries that do not have water are able to generate power. So now here it is. So the question you need to ask yourself is that, where were they? Why didn't we have a leader who could think so fast that we needed solar? If we had that kind of leadership, we would not have gone through what we went through and what we are going through today.
Now, let's take some more phone calls. 0978-895-895-226-841. Let's try to squeeze in about 4 phone calls. Good morning. Hello, good morning. Okay, don't seem to have anybody there. Good morning. Hello, good morning. Hello? Hello, you're through to let the people talk. Good morning.
Yes, madam.
Yes, Bashmanan.
Good morning, Maximo.
Shana Bashmanan.
Maximo, which is your local beauty.
Okay.
Maximo, if you and the money that you will walk. Ramona, the mobile money going to Masari Therapy. I'm a right to PF Yale. I'm all done on. No matter how many moments you come like 0.04, because I'm 24 hours later. So, Rombo to Arumba Mushi, the second one that I say you. If I'm going to say, I'm going to Shinka. We don't wish up a tea, which was for each school government. So, I'm going to government, Yamukuta, no matter what I'm done, I want to Kuta. Muchamu Sada, we have a problem with Gareta by UPND. Look at the corruption in government, and you are there, great finger, morning, great center of government, morning. Never problem, son, simply in your Simuuwe, informal landed Shinka, government, now you collapse, son, national government. Hello, Avena Zambia, we want to make it. Umuna Zambia alikwata manu wala pembera atamakatangata busheshongo imitima yali kalipa abantu na ngufuba UPND bene byabanomu wale ilishanya twa TF atilisi mtekele yabo yali kwesi yako alikuwa na wanu don na mtu pesho mwako huyu uyabebele mkwajiko.
All right, thank you, Bashmanani. Let's take another call. I lost the call there. Good morning.
Hello.
You're through to let the people talk. Who's on the line? Buno Mwaka Bunch.
Mr. Mark, how are you, sir?
Fine, thank you, sir.
This is the moment I'm calling you from Kanyama Central, Zambia.
Okay.
Nikira malume nchita mene mugwirayo mupikiri vuwa zizo ni makamba ine kutuka shaka vintu kufunika kuenda kukuona kuti vimera bwanji vienda bwanji ukakalira zapeza kanyula yangambiri shwele vashangakapinga propaganda ala vantu ava ikuru manenge and they are so frustrated vamene vakambira kamba kuti vatandaura vamene makambira kuti kuZESCO unasara mankongole everywhere kushwelo mankongole kumarodi mankongole ose vamene waenda mankongole kumahealth mankongole but within 3 years. Don't move that for the other movement of Boko and Darama. 750 euros. Uno cosa tarifa kumaiti alegekuita. Kama unokoza lero wezi kuti marodi alegekufa. Ote chakule tinanda mwaenda kutenga bachiro kubero bafaka chape mahotelo kunkala chake. Darama bakawani. Orolero mwafuta kutindala maziri kutizicha. Chino wakalia. Unarejea ukaona na weka. For 5 hours rotating, which is not good to teach understand what is cheating pino. How much can another manager taking a time? Chipuga just
Okay, let's go home, Sanjay. Let's take some more contributions. Hello, good morning.
Hello.
You're through to Let the People Talk. Who's on the line? Hello, you're through to Let the People Talk. This is Phoenix FM. Who is on the line? Your name again, sorry? The line is not too clear. Axon. All right, please go ahead.
Good morning, Mark.
Morning, sir. How is Ndola?
Mark, that's the thing. Theoretically, okay. But problem, Mark, what you should bear in mind is that we, the people, on the ground, are dealing with the reality, which you are attached with. Quite all right. Qatarism, like the case of Qatarism, has reduced in society. But there is real Qatarism. Like, for example, I would like you to appreciate, to come down and appreciate the reality of the ground here in the dollar. Where trading it.
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay. Here is in dollar.
But please just conclude with your contribution so we can get a response.
The issue is that there is the real Qatarism on the ground. The interesting point is the location of market stores at the Kampala market here in the dollar, where we apply even and all the necessary documents. But the card has UPND standards embedded and drafted those. The council, I personally went to see the former PS and the current minister over those issues. Now the council is telling us to say we can't do nothing, but we just go to court. Is that how we are going to operate with the council?
Okay. All right. Thank you so much, Axon. Okay, let's get your response to the contributions. We'll start with Vashmalani.
Yes,
who says we're lying.
Yeah. Now, but again, this is how our colleagues in the PF are finding it very difficult to debate with UPND. Propaganda and lies. So when they say you are lying, they will not tell you how you have lied. It is a blanket statement. When they say there's too much corruption, they will not tell you who is corrupt. At that time, we would say, how can that fire machine called fire tender cost 1 million above the world market price? That's how we were arguing ourselves. This is what we expect them to tell us. Then second, we told them that how can an ambulance cost over $250,000, beating the market price? We find out from Dr. Zambia and all these institutions, they're saying no. So those are the questions we were asking ourselves. That's the difference in checks and balances. We were smarter, and today they have not changed. Then they will come and say you are lying. They must demonstrate. For example, I've talked about free education. It's not a lie. Where he's calling from on the copper belt, that's where I come from. Mufulira has changed. The road, they left Mufulira, the road leading to town, dilapidated. It has been done. Chingola, Chirilagombwa up to Kasumbalesa Road, we started it and commissioned it. It was dilapidated. Fisenge, Masangano Fisenge to Rwansha now township roads are being done. It was dilapidated. Chibuluma Road, the first ever concrete tarmac in Kitwe, which joins Chingola Road, coming around into Kalulushi near the mine there. First ever coming around for truckers, was dilapidated. Come back to where you are, Bashimalan. We have revamped the flying doctor. We have the state-of-the-art hospital now with 3 aircrafts, one of them a chopper. We are setting up the first ever cancer hospital opposite airport turnoff between Ndola and Kitwe, there where you are. Further, we have revamped the mining sector. Bashimalan. Over 20,000 citizens on the Copper Belt lost their jobs because you destroyed the mine. We have revamped the mining sector as we speak. Mimbula mine has managed to get 3,000 workers. That's an economic issue. Mopani has managed to get about 1,500 already. Getting back the management. People have gotten back jobs. We are now doing that the road that goes to the border. DRC border from Ndola, okay, Sakanya border, and we're going to put up more border posts. Employment is being created there. You saw how, if you are in Ndola, you are aware at the same time that in Kitwe there is a level 1 hospital that has been constructed there. You are aware that if you are in Ndola, there are 3 health institutions under flying doctors that have been done, well stocked and with equipment. I should further indicate that in the same area that he's talking about, that's why you find cash for work. That's why you're finding free education. Some parents sometimes are not even ashamed. You discover that he's speaking the way he's speaking. The child is a beneficiary of free education. He's speaking the way he's speaking, trading at the market, which they could not allow at their time, as you heard from another person. Now, I should further indicate that running the country is a process and not an event. It does not also mean that there will be no challenges. Challenges will be there, but the differences in leadership is how to respond to challenges when they arise. In the manner that I've demonstrated that load shedding was an act of God as a result of drought. No control. No human being can control it. But government did not fold its arms. They went ahead to undertake the promises of alternative source of energy. And we are seeing these things being commissioned. Now, you should also understand that when these projects are being commissioned, the mining sector, which has been revamped, demands a lot of electricity. Meaning, even when we are introducing alternative source of energy, the demand is higher because we are opening manufacturing companies, as the case is in Chigombo, where you are now manufacturing lithium batteries, exporting to 8 countries. Another one producing cables, exporting to 9 countries. They are using electricity. Meaning, amid this deficit of electricity we have, even when we are putting up most of these projects, we must remember that there is a demand that is going up. Because when these institutions are running, they are creating jobs. It's a balance. Then I should further mention that in winding up on this particular matter, the Axon or person who has given us an instance, it's an instance that I can take up, which we need to also verify. He has given us information, because we are not there, it is hearsay. Until authorities have I don't think a trained council worker can tell them to go to what. Because there is a hierarchy there. The councils can even bring in the police. We have seen cadres being flushed out of, if at all, cadres that were involved in illegal land allocation. Government moved into, I'm sure you're aware of the forest in Lusaka, and demolished those structures. That's the kind of the government you're dealing with. That's the kind of leadership you're dealing with. In UPND cadres were very upset. Some of them. One councillor even went on social media to insult. We have expelled him. That's how I say. Those of you who take President H lightly, you don't know him. He is gone. Overland. You've heard councils being suspended. Don't joke with him on issues of corruption. You are gone. Those who work with him know him very well. So, I should wind up that the country is in safe hands. Issues of cadreism, report them to the police and tell me that the police refused to do anything. Police will move in. They have the protection of the government. And they are aware. Even when they are listening, they know what I mean.
In a nutshell, as we wind up, out of 10, how would you rate how this government has fared?
It's not 90 out of 10 because we can be ticking. Free education, kwenyu, 1. 2. Cash for work, kwenyu. Meal allowances, kwenyu. Clearing salaries for council workers, kwenyu. Peace, as you could hear, kwenyu. Alternative source of energy which is coming under the president's solar project, kwenyu, it's moving. Infrastructure development, kwenyu. Construction of Lusaka and Dola Dual Carriageway at less than half the price as promised in the opposition, kwenyu. Construction of tarmacs using triple P without government borrowing, kwenyu. Recruitment of youth across the country in thousands every year, kwenyu. Over 74,000 market booster loans for marketeers, kwenyu. 200,000 youths graduating from vocational training and skills training in carpentry, welding, general agriculture, fish farming, tailoring for free, kwenyu. Above all, over $1 million US going to each constituency across the country without bias, kwenyu. And most importantly, 2026, kwenyu again.
So what do you think needs to be done next? What do you think the government needs to work on now?
The point is that the things that are being raised, which are remaining as challenges, are being worked on by government. I've talked about load shedding. I've demonstrated what is being done. We'll talk about the cost of living. There is a bumper harvest. We have Eastern Province producing 535,000 metric tons. We have now a bumper harvest now because we have a bumper harvest. Because the president promised the farmers, produce more. Then they said, where are we going to find the market? They said, when you produce more, surplus we shall export. Then the government enabled them by giving them credit facilities for irrigation equipment and said, we want agriculture. I want you to underline this. We want agriculture to be used now as a business and should not be tied to the rain season. It should be an annual event going from January to December, planting. That's the president. Then he said, but we have too much. He said, I have signed market access agreements with Rwanda, United Arab Emirates, China, South Africa. Then we can earn a living from agriculture. That's your president. What has he done? There's a bumper harvest. He tells you what he promised you. There's a bumper harvest. Then you are saying don't export. Now listen to this. Do you know the danger right now of not exporting the surplus? I want to tell you as I wind up. If you dump the farmers, because you told them to produce more, you even gave them money, and you promised that you're going to buy off that maize. Now you have reached your target as government. Then you tell them that you are not going to export. Know what to do with that maize. Do you know what will happen? Farmers will refuse to plant maize. In the next 1 month, we are going for another farming season. They will refuse to plant maize again. They will say, you cheated us. You told us that you buy the maize, you find the market. We have produced, you can't buy it. Government is saying we have the target. We have met the target, surplus. Government has to look for the market. Then they can buy off from the farmers. Then it can be properly sent outside the country, exported. Then you can have the forex into the economy to continuously finance free education, to increase on the number of brothers and sisters that want to have bursaries and also meal allowances, so that we can sustain social cash transfer. We increase on the number of beneficiaries. The school feeding program, which was around 84 districts, now it is in 116 districts. To sustain it, we need money, so that government can have enough liquidity. Then farmers can be paid on time. Then farmers can be encouraged in the next month. They haven't sold some of them, the maize yet. How do we encourage them to plant again? We must buy off that maize. Well, government take it because FRA has run out of space. They have met the target and they are beyond the target. We must find the market. When we find the market, we will now keep that maize in monetary form. That's how it works. And this is the disjoint that we used to see in the previous governments. They could not explain. There was too much politicking. We want to discuss things that affect the people. And I want to thank Radio Phoenix for according us this opportunity to interact with citizens, even those who disagree with us, but to demonstrate to them what we are doing. And they know, even where they are able to see something. Thank you.
Mr. Simuuwe, thank you so much for joining us on the show today. We'll be joined by the United Party for National Development Media Director, Simuuwe, reflecting on the 4 years of the United Party for National Development, who will be clocking 4 years, that is, on the 24th of August, which is this Sunday. It's 5 minutes past 11. Thank you as well for tuning in to the show today. Your messages, your contributions, we appreciate you joining us. My name is Simuuwe Chileshe. Enjoy the rest of your day and stay tuned to Phoenix FM.